is Annalene, and usually on this channel I talk about books, fashion, lifestyle, and also sometimes Taylor Swift, but today is a book video. I watched a video by Miriam Elizabeth Reeves who showed off her classics collection, and I thought it was a cute idea, so I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. She showed off her books in like sections of editions, so she had like, for example, the Red Spine classics that she showed all at the same time. But I don't have that many classics that are in the same edition, so I thought I would change it up a little bit and show you my books from the newest edition that I have all the way until the oldest edition that I have. So I'm going to show you the books not in order of when they were first published, but when my personal edition was published. The oldest one that I own is almost 100 years old, and I am so happy with that. But that will be the very last book that I'm showing you today. I will go over this rather quickly. I'm just going to tell you the title, the author, whether I read it or not, and if I did, if I liked it, and what year the edition that I have came out. So let's just get into it. The first classics is a series, and it is the Anne of Green Gables series. But you might notice that there is one missing, and that is because this series came out, or this edition came out in 2017, but the final book in the series, Rilla of Ingleside, came out a little bit earlier, but I will show that to you later when the time comes. Of course, I have made an entire video series about the Anne of Green Gables series where I read all of them, tell you my thoughts. I have a book haul as well where I talk a little bit more about the covers, but just for this video I will just briefly show this to you so that you know what it looks like. This is Anne of Green Gables, which it's the first one in the series. Anne of Avonlea, a very strong second one in the series. I liked it as well, and this is what like kind of kept me going to read all of them. Anne of the Island, so far in the series, this one is my favorite. I mean, out of the first three, this is probably my favorite. It's very juicy. I really like the cover as well. These, by the way, are the Virago Modern Classics. I think this one is the prettiest one out of all of them, but unfortunately, Anne of Windy Willows was my least favorite out of all of the books. And you can watch my vlog about it or my ranking video to know why, but this was just like not the best one, but the cover is gorgeous. Anne's House of Dreams is my favorite out of the entire series. It is so good. And I made an outfit based on this cover in another video that I did that I will also link up there and in the description if you want to check that out as well. Anne of Ingleside, I have to admit, I don't really remember what happened in this book. I think this is the book where we get to see all of the different kids have different experiences, and it is very similar to this one, Rainbow Valley, which is just the same, but the kids are a little bit older. And they're fine. They're nice. They're nice additions to the series. Next up I have F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. This edition came out in 2016, and I guess I also read it in 2016, maybe 2017, and I loved it. This edition of Nancy Mitford's Wigs on the Green came out in 2015. I think it is a very pretty cover, and there are other Nancy Mitford books that have like a similar cover, and I actually want to collect them all because I did enjoy this book. I read it very recently, and it is strange but pretty good, I would say. It's very lighthearted and also kind of not. It's very strange, but I did enjoy reading it. And here we have the final installment of the Anne of Green Gables series, Rilla of Ingleside. You know, maybe actually this one is my favorite. Yes, this one is better even than Anne's House of Dreams. And this edition, for some strange reason, is from 2014. Even though like the art style is very, very similar to the other Anne of Green Gables books that I have. So this is also a Virago Modern Classic edition. Then we have Emma by Jane Austen. I have not finished reading this. I'm about here. I got this book in 2015. I did start reading it, but I felt like it was a little bit too challenging for my English level at the time, so I might give it another try and maybe I will resonate with it a little bit more now. This edition is from 2012 and I think it is very pretty. The Beautiful and the Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This edition is from 2010. I started reading this and enjoyed it, but for some reason I put it aside and never picked it up again. But I'm definitely planning on reading this in full. I think I got to about, yeah, my bookmark is still in there, page 25. But I'll pick this up again soon and keep reading because I really like his writing style and I want to keep reading. The Adventures and Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This one is sort of strange because on the back it says cover illustration, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, 2008, oil on canvas. So this cover was painted in 2008, but then it says that this edition is from 1996, which does not add up. So I decided to view this as a 28 edition that first came out in 1996 and then had a redesign, I guess. The next book that I have is not my favorite, and it is because of the edition. Let me show it to you. It is the complete novels of Jane Austen, and it has the Pride and Prejudice movie cover. It has all of Jane Austen's novels, which, you know, it's nice that I have them all, but I don't want them in one book. I got this as a gift, and you know, I did start reading in it, but it's just so inconvenient that I kind of gave up. And this edition is from 2007, but I got it way later. I got it in like maybe 2014 or 15 as a present, which to me makes it seem as if this book just didn't really sell very well. And I understand why, but it's a classic that I own, so that's why I'm showing it to you. Then I have Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises. This I had to read for my English class in my first year of university. I studied languages and literature, English and Dutch, and so this was for my English class. And I liked it a lot, actually. I liked the writing style. I mean, the plot was kind of meh, but I still did enjoy it. Also, the font is huge, which I opened it up just now and I was like, this must have been the most easy book to read for school in university, and it was. These are all of the notes that I wrote in preparation of the exam, because we were allowed to bring our books, and so I decided to write in some of my thoughts beforehand, which I'm very happy about. I did very well on that exam, so yeah, I did the right thing. This edition is also from 2006. This is another edition of Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. A very cheap one, but I actually got it for free in Rotterdam, and it is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I hadn't read any of the Anne of Green Gables series when I got this, so I don't really care about what it looked like, and it's a good book, you know. And this edition is from 2003. Then I have Wuthering Heights by Emily Brontë. I hated this book. No, I did not like this at all. It took me weeks to get through. I don't know why I kept reading. I should have just stopped. I guess because I felt like it was a classic that I needed to read. And this edition is from 2003. We are approaching the 1990s. The first book that came out in the 1990s that I have is, we have another Anne of Green Gables book. It's Rilla of Ingleside by Ellen Montgomery, and I just saw this in my local secondhand bookshop and I had to get it. And this edition is from 1998. Vanity Fair by Thackery, and this edition is from 1994, I believe. I just checked it and I already forgot. Let me just check it again. Yes, 1994. I have not read this. I also got this for free in Rotterdam, so we just love a free book, don't we? Then I have this 1992 edition of Mark Twain's Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and I have not read this either, but I also got it for free, not in Rotterdam, but in my tiny hometown. I don't understand why anyone had this, because I did grow up in a very small town, like very rural. The population is like 1700, and most of the people there are very old and don't really speak English very well, so I don't really I don't know how it got there, but I'm very happy that it did and that I got my hands on it for free. Now we are getting into the 80s. This is a 1988 edition of Daniel Defoe's A Journal of the Plague Year. I am currently reading this, and I have been for quite a while, but I'm about halfway through and I enjoy it, but I just need to keep reading. I think what makes it difficult for me to read is because it just does not have chapters. It's just one continuous thing, which makes it a little bit harder for me to have like a goal for when I'm reading, because I like to read chapter by chapter when it's possible, but that's just not a thing that I can do with this book, unfortunately. I do enjoy that this obviously was a book that someone studied for their classes because it has like pencil markings, but they kind of stopped halfway through, so I feel like they only had to study or analyze the first few pages, because especially the biography beforehand, or like the introduction, was very heavily marked. That was the only book in the 80s. This one came out, or this edition came out in 1987. This is Daniel Defoe's Moll, Flanders. I have not read this, but I am looking forward to starting it. It has the same issue as A Journal of the Plague Year, that it does not have any chapters whatsoever. This is the Diary of Anne Frank in Dutch, Het achterhuis. And this came out in 1973, which means that this is an edition, and I have fully read this, and I think everyone should read it. This is an edition that was still edited by Anne Frank's father, Otto. He felt like some of the parts that she had written about were not appropriate, and it is a lot about her sexuality and her relationship with her mother. So I have read an abridged version of Het achterhuis, and I feel like I should read the original, you know, the way that Anne Frank wrote it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And someone like wrote their name, so this is my name, and someone else wrote their name before me and then scratched it out. But I am so curious to know who this person was, who this book belonged to. But alas, I don't think I will ever find out. And then lastly, the oldest book that I own is also a Dutch book, but it is a translation of 20 Miles Underneath the Sea by Jules Verne. This edition is from 1929. I know. I think it's so cool. It has this beautiful illustration. It has some, you know, discoloration from the sun, but it also has like stamps in the cover. It has like the pages are like really nice and thick. It has illustrations. I just think it is very beautiful. I have not read it, but I will at some point. So there we have all of my books, all of my classics. I'm very happy with them, and I know that I haven't read most of them, or I've only started some of them, but I am definitely excited to read more of these and to just collect more classics, because I feel like buying books or collecting books and reading books are just like two separate things, and I really enjoy collecting books at the moment. But I will get around to reading them as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any thoughts. What is your favorite classic? Do you have any of the books? Do you have some special editions or old editions that you want to talk about? Please let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, then please give this video a thumbs up so that I know that you liked it. And I will see you next Wednesday. Bye!